So in early 2020, we did a survey of union reps to kind of find out what was happening in workplaces in response to the climate emergency declaration. So this was kind of pre-pandemic. So we found there's loads of kind of trade union activity happening. Over a quarter of you reported that you had active green reps in your branch, and another 21% said there was another rep in the branch taking on the green agenda as part of their role, so whether that be a health and safety rep or union rep. So there's lots going on, but you also told us about lots of barriers. And many of you told us that your employers were taking action to reduce their environmental impact. But the thing that came out really strongly was a lack of engagement. There were very few employers were consulting with unions on all of the changes that was being proposed and brought forward. And over 40% of you told us that there had been no consultation at all about any of the changes that have been brought forward. So that's a real concern for us, because we know from the TUC's Greener Workplaces project of the importance of successful joint approaches in terms of achieving carbon reduction, but also better industrial relations and making sure that changes are fair and fit for purpose and effective. And what you told us is that you wanted to do more on the green agenda, but that more support was needed in terms of access to training, up-to-date resources, and also the key issue that Shab's mentioned of facility time for green reps, is still a real life issue. So on the back of that, we started this work to develop the new training and the toolkit. So I'm just going to try and share my screen now, so I can show you the toolkit. So hopefully this works. I hope everybody can see that okay. So this is the toolkit. It aims to bring together kind of everything, all the information and tools to help us take action on the climate and nature emergency in our workplaces and negotiate for greener and fairer deals. It aims to ensure that workers have a voice in the changes that we know are coming to every workplace. And we're really lucky to have Graham, Chris and John involved in the project. You'll be hearing from them shortly. To have their knowledge and expertise has been fantastic. And based on the kind of feedback from reps and the discussions we've had, we knew that the toolkit needed to take a whole branch approach. So obviously it's for green reps, but it's not just for green reps, it's for others in the branch too. It covers negotiating on the just transition, but also practical action for creating greener workplaces. And it considers both climate and nature, because we know the nature emergency is just as pressing as climate. So if we take a look now, hopefully you can all see here the contents page to give you an idea. There's quite a lot of content in here. It is one of the largest toolkits we've produced. We did think about breaking it down into some smaller publications, but we thought actually it would be better to have all the information in one place. So it's been designed to support the course that's being developed, but also to work as a standalone resource. Bearing in mind the size, we've tried to design it for kind of ease of navigation. So all of the page numbers here are kind of clickable. So if you want to just go and look at a particular section, understanding the climate and nature crisis, you can just skip straight through to that section. So hopefully that makes it a bit easier to use. We've also, just after the contents page, we've put this section together on kind of how to use the toolkit. So this is really to help you get the most out of it and explains how the 4 different sections in the toolkit work. So the first section, section 1, is background and context. So that's looking at things like why the climate and nature crisis is an issue for us as trade unionists, the causes and consequences of it, the laws and policies that are in place in Wales to tackle it, what further action is needed. It explores the concept of the just transition and why that's so important, and also the key role for giving workers access to green skills and training that will be needed in the transition to net zero. In section 2, that's focused on what unions can do at workplace level, so looking at securing improvements for the environment and also a fair deal for workers. It looks at the key role of green reps and that whole branch approach, and Sarah in a moment is going to be talking in more depth about the role of green reps. We've also in this section got information on mapping and monitoring tools that you may come across, and things like carbon footprinting and carbon reduction management plans, which we know a lot of employers are already have brought in or in the process of doing at the moment. We know particularly with the move to make the public sector carbon neutral by 2030, there's a lot happening on that at the moment. There's also a section on understanding climate risk and adaptation measures and the impact of those on the workplace. and also a section on the trade union approach to negotiating workplace transition agreements, or the Green New Deal approach, and that's something Graham's going to be talking about a bit more in a moment. And finally, in section 2, we've got a little bit about campaigning and awareness raising. We know that it's really important for us as trade unionists. We've got an important role in kind of raising awareness with members, and there's a role there for ULRs in working together with green reps to kind of raise awareness of green issues. And throughout this section, there's case studies and checklists that you can use as well. And then on to section 3, which is workplace issues. So that's a kind of detailed look at workplace sustainability issues. Here you'll find dedicated chapters on things like work-related travel that Chris is going to be talking about in more detail in a moment, and also things like resource efficiency, procurement, different aspects of energy use, home working, and supporting nature and green spaces, and a few other sort of chapters in there to look at. So this section is very relevant to green reps, but also others who are looking to secure improvements on specific kind of focused issues in their workplace. Again, you'll find in their bargaining checklists in these yellow boxes in each section. There's some case studies throughout as well, and also some of the larger chapters have these examples of action plans. So these are not kind of meant as a one-size-fits-all. Obviously, it's just a blueprint that you can take away and adapt to sort of see what works in your workplace. Finally, there's section 4, which is tools and resources. This pretty much does what it says on the tin. So there's some examples of surveys, some quick checklists, model agreements and letters, things that you can use and adapt to support and develop your own workplace campaigns. This section also has a glossary of key terms and some further sources of information. The toolkit has been designed primarily as a digital resource. There are going to be some limited hard copies for people attending the course who would need to use it as a kind of manual during the course, but otherwise it's a digital download. And we designed it with hyperlinks throughout the text, so you can click on those to view further information or sources if you want to kind of delve a bit deeper into any of the topics. We've also put together here on this side of the page, there's some lists of sort of sections that might be of particular interest to different reps in your branch. So, for example, different bits on green skills and things like awareness raising that might be of interest to ULRs, different bits that might be of interest to health and safety reps, and so on. And in the bottom right hand corner here, there's also some quick links to the different case studies that are featured throughout the toolkit. So I'll just click on this one here as an example of prospect reps at the IPO. I really encourage you to look at the different case studies in the toolkit. It's really good to have those practical examples of what other reps have done. And I'd like to say a really big thank you to all of the reps who took the time to speak to us and share their case studies with us. I think it's really important to have those examples to kind of really bring things to life. So that's a really quick run through of what's in the toolkit. In terms of what's next, obviously, we hope that you'll download the toolkit and find it useful and that it will help you to make a difference. Please come back to us and tell us what you think about it, and if there's any additional information or changes you'd like to see when we update it. It's something we're looking to update regularly as everything's moving so fast. For example, just thinking about the home working section that we did, you know, that the more widespread home working is quite a new thing for most of us. There's lots of pros and cons and different things we need to consider and look at, and lots of research going on. So that's something we'll look to keep updated. We're also looking to set up some regular online briefings and networking events to support green reps, and potentially a kind of mentoring network if there would be demand for that. So look out for more on that in the coming months. That's all for me from now. I'm happy to take questions at the end, and I'll hand back over. Thank you.